Judge Danforth? I couldn't find your key.
What? Alicia said she'd keep a copy for me.
Well, I did find a paperclip. I think I can pick your lock, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure, fine.
Efficient. How'd you learn to do that, actually?
Online video tutorial.
Someday you have to tell me about your secret life of breaking and entering, Drew. Because you're in danger of being cool. Which, honestly, I just don't like.
Someday.
Those protesters are out there again, stirring the pot. You know, this town used to be a quiet place, but it seems lately there's been an element that has infiltrated our community. I have no doubt one of those troublemakers locked my door and threw away the key. Now, Nancy, your father and I have discussed.
Oh, sorry, I'm not Nancy.
Of course you're not. You look nothing like Carson. Did your father ever tell you about the time we won 4th place at the Lake Winnipesaukee Regatta? You see, at the time I had 20/10 vision, so I was the navigator and...
Judge, this is Deirdre Shannon. She's working with me on the case.
Deirdre, you're the one who tried to break down my door.
Breakdown?
Your Honor, that's an exaggeration. I was knocking. Heavily.
Look, I'm really busy, dealing with this Hathorne House business. Being a judge is not as simple as, investigating during your free time.
Well, we just used our free time to unlock your door. So I'm sure you'll be willing to repay us with some answers to our questions. Right?
Yes, of course. What can I help you girls with?
Can you explain to us how you're involved with the Hathorne House? I was told that the burning of Hathorne House is suspected to be a case of arson. So, how did Frances Tuttle pass away exactly? So the Book of Apologies. Why did you really need it? How valid is the claim the accused witches have against the Hathorne House? Don't you think it's dangerous throwing around May's name as a suspect before any evidence links her to the crime?
Well, yes. The house was built by Judge John Hathorne during the 1600s, and it represented the oldest surviving structure from that era. Judge Hathorne, of course, was one of the 3 judges that presided over the Salem witch trials.
Yes, and I'm sure we can read all about the home's history in Salem's museum.
More recently, Frances Tuttle, Judge Hathorne's last direct descendant, lived in a small section of the house while the rest was left to fall into considerable disrepair. She was alone, except for a part-time caregiver, Lauren Holt, who had a bedroom in the carriage house. A few months ago, Frances Tuttle passed away, which left Hathorne House without a legal heir. According to the historical statutes of Salem, after 90 days, the house reverts to public property, the deadline of which is 2 days from now, at midnight.
How did the police come to that conclusion?
The investigation found paint solvent residue on burnt embers, suggesting someone deliberately used an accelerant. Thankfully, Mrs. Tuttle never had to see what became of her home.
And what evidence do you have that May Perry is the one responsible for this?
Evidence? Have you ever heard of recidivism? 3 out of 4 criminals in the United States are repeat offenders, and there's only one person in all of Salem who has a history of fire-related crime.
So, there is no evidence.
Not yet, but there will be.
You don't need evidence. She's already been convicted in the court of public opinion.
Is that what she said?
No, I'm saying it.
She has a history with this sort of thing.
What's May's motive? What does she gain by burning down the Hathorne house?
You'd have to ask her, and while you're at it, you can ask about her alibi, which she refused to give to the police. So, any other questions? The woman was 88 years old. The coroner confirmed her death was of natural causes.
So they never investigated Lauren Holt.
You need the suspicion of foul play to investigate someone, young lady.
We'd like to speak with her all the same.
She still lives on the estate, although for how much longer we do not know. You can also find her in her shop, Luminous Infusions. She might be willing to talk to you. Yes, and first of all, I'm so glad you're all right. Nasty business. Had I known you were going to be put in harm's way, I would have never called Carson and asked for his help.
I've done plenty of work for my father. He trusts me. I can handle myself.
Yes, I'm sure you can.
So I've already heard some stories, but would you mind giving me your version of why the book is important?
Yes, so. Judge Sewell was rumored to keep a ledger of all the accused, intending to publish it to reconcile with their families and clear their names. But he passed away before he could do so.
Going to Austria for a rumored book seems like a heck of a long shot.
Well, I have been under some pressure from the AW group. AW as in accused witches. I have been working with Tegan Perry, the organizer of that group. The Book of Apologies would have presented evidence Miss Perry could use for her claim.
And without it...
Their case is incomplete. According to the statutes of Salem established in 1629, property ownership was placed under the vacuum domicilium doctrine, meaning that any unused land would be made available to any member of the public who was willing to settle on it. This comes into effect 90 days after the land is abandoned at midnight, meaning it will happen with the Hathorn estate in 2 days. What do you mean? What are you saying?
From what you've described, there is no evidence against May. Yet you were saying that she did it. As a judge, I think you would be the first to admit that sounds prejudicial.
It is not just me, Miss Drew. There are plenty of people who believe that May is responsible for this crime. It is not prejudice when she is the only likely suspect.
Actually, that is the definition of prejudice.
I'm not going to have this debate with you. Is there anything else? Miss Drew, before you go, there is something else I need your help with.
You're not locked out of your car, are you?
Oh, no. There was an incident here recently. Someone broke into the evidence room.
Oh. Have you called the police?
Well, no, not yet. I don't think anything was taken. Never mind. I'll call the police. Thank you for your time. Did your father ever tell you about the time we won 4th place at the Lake Winnipesaukee Regatta? What can I help you girls with?
You'd really become my enemy if I committed a crime?
Sorry. You shouldn't joke about that.
Why? You gonna arrest me?
No, but I'd call the police to report you. I'd also recommend you a decent lawyer, because I'm an excellent witness for the prosecution. I'm a lawyer's daughter, Deirdre. Don't mess with me.
Hey, what are you doing?
He's a judge, Deirdre. He's not gonna bite. Hello? Judge Danforth.
Yeah, hello. Ted, is that you?
Ted?
No, Your Honor. My name is Nancy Drew. I think you've spoken with my father.
Nancy Drew? Carson's daughter?
Yes, and I'm with my friend Deirdre Shannon. We're investigating the arson of the Hathorn house.
Ah, yes.
Can we come in?
Well, you see, no, I mean, I'd let you in, but I seem to have been locked in my office and I need some help getting out.
I was hoping we could talk about the Hathorn house case. I wanted to talk to you about the Book of Apologies. Do you know where I could find a key to your office?
Yes, it's a terrible tragedy for our town, but let's table that discussion for later, okay? I'd like to get out of my office first.
You know, the book in Austria, at the Mosam Castle.
Yes, Nancy, I would love to talk about it, but I would really love if we could do it in person, face to face, as opposed to through this door. Yes, I believe I gave a copy of the key to Alicia Cole as backup. She's just down the hall. I hope she's still here.
No, not today. I can't. There's too much to do.
Come on, take a break. You need it.
Jason, I have had these protesters outside my window nonstop for days. I must deal with this situation. The longer it goes on, the worse it looks.
Yeah. Ooh, but I'm buying lunch.
You're buying? Really? With what?
You gotta get over this, Dad. It's not good for you. It's not healthy.
What are you talking about?
You resent me.
I don't resent you, Jason. Miss Drew, please, come in. We'll talk later, okay?
Oh, you have time for her, but not for me.
Please, Jason.
Hi, Jason Danforth.
Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew. You're visiting Salem, yeah? What do you think? Kind of a boring town beneath all the legends.
Jason, come on. We have a meeting.
Actually, it seems like there's a lot going on here.
Well, whenever you're up for some real excitement, look me up.
I'm sorry, he's still trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life.
Didn't want to follow in his father's footsteps.
Oh, he tried. Didn't have the dedication to follow through with the schooling. Anyway, let's get started.
As you know, I want to investigate the crime scene. Could you give me the code for the keypad?
Oh, yes, about that. Well, you see, I had it written on a Post-it note, but I seem to have misplaced it. It should be around here somewhere. Feel free to look for it.
Oh, okay. Don't worry about it. I love a good scavenger hunt. Do you happen to have a list of all the evidence that was stored here? Something before the break-in?
Yes, actually. You should be able to get it from the computer in the evidence room. Feel free to use the printer and take the list with you. I'm going out on a limb for you here. That sort of information isn't usually available to the public.
I understand. I'll keep the list close. Thank you. Who has access to the evidence room?
Oh, that would be me and Alicia. Why do you ask?
Just curious. Thanks. I went through the missing evidence and was able to get a list of everything that's missing. Judge? Judge?
I'm afraid I haven't been completely honest with you, Nancy.
I know.
What? You know?
Let's just say I can tell when someone is trying to hide something from me.
The reason Carson sent you to Mosem Castle was because I already knew what was stolen from the courthouse. Tegan Perry had assembled a packet of documents outlining her accused witch's claims on the Hathorn house. They were compelling, and I believe she had a real claim. But now they're missing.
No documents, no claim.
Yes. Oh, what a mess.
Without any evidence or will, what's the legal status of the house? Do you remember any details about the AW evidence? Where were you when this evidence was stolen? Do you have CCTV footage from the break-in?
Well, that is a somewhat complicated question. With so many moving parts and interested parties with crossover jurisdictions,
You're the one who decides who gets the house.
How did you know?
I can tell you're not happy about being the center of such a large decision.
Well, it's muddy, legally, and complicated for other reasons.
Because it's not just who lives there. It's tied up in the town's history.
Yes, not to be taken lightly. I don't remember much, unfortunately. Oh, there was this key with its blade shape to spell AW. Very unique. Not sure what it was connected to.
Like this one?
Yes, that's it. Where did you find this?
Mosam Castle. I say both crimes are connected. The theft of the Book of Apologies and the theft of evidence from the courthouse.
Someone is going to great lengths to prevent the AW organization from having a claim on the Hathorn estate.
Any educated guess who that might be?
Practically everybody in this town. Everyone has an interest. Some want it to be a museum, others a carnival attraction, and I'm sure Lauren Holt just wants to live there.
I'll have to dig deeper.
Well, you'll need to do it quickly. I unfortunately must file the papers in 2 days. Otherwise, I lose control of the property and it falls into the hands of the state. And I doubt they give a fig about anyone's opinions from this town.
I love a good ticking clock, as long as it's not a time bomb.
If you can believe it, I was here, working. I have no reason to steal the evidence, trust me. It's giving me more headaches than I care to admit. Yes, we do. Huh. I had completely forgotten about those.
Do you mind if I take a look at the footage?
Of course, of course. It will take about a day to get the right footage. Come back tomorrow and it will be here waiting for you. That information isn't usually available to the public. I'm afraid I can't just take your word for it. I'll have it taken care of.
There are some more things I'd like to look into before I'm done.
Hello.
Ned, hey.
You've reached the voicemail inbox of Ned Nickerson. I apologize that I did not come to the phone in a timely fashion.
Pick up your phone, Ned.
No, I will not pay your bail.
What?
Oh, I thought you were in trouble. Lockpicking someone's safe or something. What's up, Drew?
Just checking in. You find anything yet?
Negative. Right now, I think we're going to have to rely on alibis over anything else.
Yeah, I'll make sure to check with the folks in the courthouse.
Cool. Now leave me alone. I'm busy.
I need to get Judge Danforth's permission before I investigate the burglary. I really should call Dad so he can run this by the judge. I could jeopardize the whole investigation if I was caught snooping around the courthouse without permission.
Nance, how's my girl doing?
Hey, Dad, I have a favor I need to ask you.
Of course. Shoot.
I need to investigate inside the Salem courthouse, specifically concerning the burglary in the evidence room. Do you think you could call Judge Danforth on my behalf and get his permission?
Not a problem. You know, this reminds me, next time you see him, you should bring up the Lake Winnipesaukee Regatta.
Dad!
Yeah?
Maybe later.
Sure thing. Talk soon.
I should wait to hear back from Dad before I go inside.
You're all set.
Great. Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else?
I'm just really proud of you, Nancy. I don't know how often I tell you that. I think it's not nearly enough.
Thanks, Dad. You know I learned it all from you, right?
Oh, now I know that's not true. The judge told me about a certain lock-picking incident. You certainly didn't learn that from me.
I may have picked up a few extra skills along the way.
I'd expect nothing less. Love you, kiddo. Go get 'em.
Nancy!
Hey, how's it going? Find anything?
Nothing. Aside from the weird looks from the woman who lives here. Lauren Holt, I think her name was. To be fair, it looks like we're drilling for oil with all this equipment. Whoa! Cold spot! Grab that EMP meter, Frank! Quickly!
What, you mean this? It says EMF.
Yeah, that one!
This one? Or this one? This one? You're sure?
Yes!
Because I have these other devices here like ESP, or PSN, or NASA.
Come on, Frank, hurry! God, it's gone! We're going to have to be quicker to catch these paranormal phenomena.
Uh-huh. Oh, hey, Nancy, forgot to tell you. On the way into town, I spotted surveillance cameras on the outside of the courthouse. Try checking the footage. I'm sure they have cameras on the inside as well.
Yeah, good catch.
We'll let you know if we catch any phenomena.
Thanks. Talk soon.
What? No skipping through the halls this time?
I've just realized that this case has taken a turn.
About time. How do you figure?
Intentional poisoning usually has one goal: to eliminate the target. Someone was trying to kill us. Ergot poisoning at high enough doses
Ends in gangrene. Which, yeah, is pretty bad, but it's not death. You really think this was intentional? And not some, accidental ingestion?
If you look at all the evidence, yes. Olivia's jacket at the crime scene, the spray painting of the Perry house, everyone's obsession to get May convicted.
You know what all these people have in common.
What?
They're women.
Are you saying they're all witches, or that this is a witch hunt?
I'm saying it's Salem.
Now that's a peculiar thing to have standing around a lawyer's office. Judge's office to the right.
Miss Cole, if this was a court of law and the police were asking for probable cause, I'd be hard-pressed not to allow it. Do you have anything to say?
I told him to get rid of those tickets. You know, Your Honor, your son is a real idiot. Truly, a world-class moron. He couldn't even follow simple instructions. I would have had better luck writing them in crayon. And this? Seriously? This is the kind of stuff I have to deal with? I went to law school. I have 3 degrees. And now I have an arsonist, 2 ghost hunters, a wannabe detective, and her assistant.
Hey, what? No!
Trying to screw up my plans.
All the people you pointed out are the reason you're going down.
No. The reason I am going down is that this stupid little town is stuck in the past. Oh, my great-great-great-great-grandmother was accused as a witch. I want repayment because I'm lazy. She loved me so much that I want this disgusting ruin of a house for free so I can run my luminous vegan tea grocery store. That is what pathetic looks like. A bunch of whining, moaning little people whose worldview is infinitesimally small.
Why, Alicia?
Why? Because I wanted to do something for this town. I care about Salem more than all the Olivias and Tegans and Laurens combined. I care the most. We should have leveled that old house a long time ago and built new houses. With all that land, we could have a real community here. We could bring in new business that isn't completely reliant on stupid, scary stuff. I am talking about economic development on a level which Salem has never even seen.
And who would be the owner of these new houses?
Well, after knowing this case inside out, it wouldn't be hard for me to get the land out of the grasp of the state. After all I've done for this community, some recompense is in order.
So, you're saying you poisoned Lauren so you could build and own a housing complex.
Do you realize how much money is in real estate? And give me a break. I was just scaring her. I told you I know about biology. She was never in any real danger.
Alicia, I saw the ergot in the water valve. There is absolutely no way you could control the dosage that Lauren ingested. You could have done irreparable damage.
So what? I live here. I work here. I am a member of this community. This town needs me.
No, it doesn't.
I already have the papers, and I am taking them to the state office. And none of you are going to stop me. Because you can't prove anything. There's no legal heir to the Hathorn estate. And none of the evidence Detective Girl brought up will stick.
So you admit to all of it?
Yes. Now get out of my way.
The police are on their way. You can wait here for them to arrive.
This is unbelievable. I only wanted to make Salem.
This is highly disturbing. I am shocked. Very shocked at what has occurred here. Miss Cole will be held accountable for her crimes. I will make sure of it. But as much as it pains me to admit, she is right. We do not have a legal heir.
Yes, we do. Deirdre!
See, boys? You look dirty.
I'm fine. We need to see the judge, now.
Yeah, us too. We found the
will. No need to recap. Let's go.
Okay. Well, what about the Hathorn House fire?
No one forgave me when I made a mistake. Break the cycle, right?
May had nothing to do with the fire.
You're sure? How do you know?
Because I have a confession from the person who did.
Really?
Tegan Perry is responsible for the fire, but it was an accident. Tegan Perry intentionally set the fire to force out Lauren and let the AW organization take over the property.
An accident?
Yes. Tegan went looking for the will and accidentally knocked a candle over inside the house. The fire grew out of control. I questioned her myself. I believe her.
I'm afraid I can't just take your word for it. Will Tegan give us the same testimony?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, the house is going to be demolished anyway. And while I wish I could give out punishment for withholding information, I suppose we can keep this at a misdemeanor level. Perhaps a fine, some community service. What a mess.
This has been a very tough time for everyone. I think the damage has been done.
Agreed. But, so it was one of the Perrys after all. Tegan has caused irreparable harm to this community by the action she's committed.
But it was an accident. You heard her.
Was it an accident that she illegally trespassed on the property to begin with? Or that she attempted to steal a legal document for her own gain?
It was not just for her. It was for the accused witches organization.
A noble cause does not make it any less of a crime. It will have to be adjudicated. But I will take everyone's character opinion of Tegan into consideration. I will be lenient but just. That's surprising. You say it was intentional?
Yes, I believe it was, and I believe that. Because anything less than intentional would mean people conspired to withhold information about who was responsible.
And who might that be? May?
I couldn't say definitively who knew what and when.
Well, if it is May, then she will also be held responsible for obstruction.
Judge, did you ever interview May? Get a statement from her? Anything on record?
Well, not exactly.
So you just assumed she was guilty of the crime without even speaking with her?
A case needed to be built.
There was no case, because you never needed to make one. You thought she was guilty, and so you treated her accordingly.
Miss Drew, I ask that in this office you treat me with respect.
You deserve as much respect as I'm currently giving you, Judge.
Nancy, maybe we should...
You made this poor girl's life a living nightmare because of something she did when she was young. She was a kid, Your Honor. Her entire life molded and built and destroyed by an event she barely remembers. Can you imagine what that does to someone? Can you imagine what that does to her family, to her friends?
Well, that is a bit unfair.
You know, this town has a history of judges behaving without sound jurisprudence. And I would expect that after 300 years, you would be able to right that wrong.
Perhaps. You have a point. But my concerns are not unfounded. You think Jason is a screw-up now? What would have happened if he had been friends with her?
He is friends with her, Judge.
What? How's that possible? I thought at least I would know.
A judge is supposed to judge people on their actions alone, not the people they call their friends. I just hope you remember that when you sentence Jason, because his crimes aren't imagined. They're real, and they deserve real punishment.
Nancy, are you all right?
Deirdre, can you, Frank, and Joe wait in the hallway? Don't let anyone leave this office.
My pleasure.
Judge, we need to talk.
What is this?
It's urgent.
Yes, it looks like it. Is it a confession?
Maybe.
Judge, we've been here all night. I think it's time we retire.
You're not going anywhere. Perp.
Excuse me?
Your Honor, it's become clear to us that Miss Cole has been the perpetrator of numerous crimes here in Salem, including attempted murder.
Murder? Judge, please.
That's a very serious claim, Nancy.
And this is a serious case. People's lives hang in the balance.
This is very cute and all, but we have to do adult things now. So run along, everyone, before your PB&Js get cold.
I have proof. And it's all related to the Hathorn house, the future of which rests in your hands. So I think you should hear me out before you sign that paper.
All right.
What? You can't be serious. Judge, this is clearly a half-brained attempt to delay what we have determined to be a sound judgment, that the Hathorn house should revert to the state.
We have spent most of this evening going over all possibilities for how to decide the rightful owner of this house. And you've been very adamant that the state should handle it. But if Nancy has any evidence to add, I'm willing to hear her out.
Unbelievable.
Alicia has been poisoning Lauren Holt's water supply. Alicia was responsible for stealing AW evidence from your office. Alicia was behind the theft of the Book of Apologies.
Poisoning? That's just too much.
After interviewing Lauren Holt and experiencing some negative side effects from drinking her water, I discovered that someone had been tainting her water supply with ergot.
Well, that would explain my client's erratic behavior over the past few weeks.
She lost her mother.
Months ago. And that woman wasn't her mother. Give me a break.
How do you know that ergot causes erratic behavior?
You said she was poisoned. Wouldn't that affect anyone's behavior? What exactly are you insinuating?
That you know how ergot affects its victims.
I'm not answering these questions. I happen to be well-versed in biology, all right? But any tidbit of knowledge I have, you'll just try to trap me with it. Use it against me.
I don't need to do that. Because I found, in your office, a map of the Hathorn house's water system.
Yes. And did you also find the notice of demolition on my desk when you illegally broke into my office? Are you going to arrest her for breaking and entering?
Is what Nancy's saying true?
Of course I have a map of the Hathorn house's water plans.
So you admit it. You were going to try to demolish Hathorn House.
I was providing my client, Lauren Holt, with that option, yes. The land is worth a lot of money, and I was doing my due diligence. Have you done yours?
I brought up the demolition with Lauren. She says you never discussed it. I am certain she will be happy to testify.
What? She must have forgotten. Because of the poisoning you claim she's been affected by. That has to be it.
What about flooding the tunnels under Salem in the past hour? Would you know how to do that, Miss Cole?
I was here, Miss Drew.
Your coat looks pretty soaked. And muddy shoes.
Water is wet, and it's raining outside. Are you satisfied with the ridiculousness of this yet? How much longer are you going to let this go on?
It all does seem circumstantial. Is that all you have, Miss Drew?
This should be interesting.
I spoke with your son, Jason. He claims Alicia forced him.
Jason is a grown man. His actions are his own.
Alicia lent Jason her car. Then Jason broke into the evidence room and stole the files. I have proof on CCTV.
So what it actually sounds like is that Jason took my car, stole the evidence, and somehow I'm to blame?
How did he have access to your car?
I gave him the keys. He runs errands for me all the time.
And how did he have access to the evidence room? Only you and the judge had the code.
Look here, on the wall. An access code. I wonder if it's for the evidence room. Probably. Apologies, Judge. But your carelessness is the reason this happened. In all probability, Jason heard that you left the door unlocked, and he just went and opened it.
I doubt that. He barely spends any time with me.
I found this in 10 seconds. You left it out for anyone to see. If he didn't know the door was unlocked, how hard would it have been to find your key?
Miss Cole, that's enough. Anything else, Miss Drew?
I've never been to Europe, okay?
How did you know it was in Europe?
I heard the judge talking to you about it.
I found plane tickets in Jason's car. He admitted to stealing the Book of Apologies on Alicia Cole's orders.
Orders? How did I order little Jason to do this, Nancy Drew?
Jason has financial problems. Right, Judge?
I don't really know. To be honest with you, I know he's always looking for money.
He's in debt. Badly. A fact Alicia uses to her advantage.
This is absurd.
How did he buy a first-class round-trip ticket to Salzburg when the crime occurred?
Because I pay him for doing errands for me. He could use his money however he feels fit. He's a big boy now.
I admit, I don't know how we could prove that Alicia...
Call the airline. You can use the plane ticket reference number. Call the airline. They should be able to check the payment. I bet you it was paid by Alicia Cole, credit card. There's no way Jason would have that much cash to buy a first-class ticket.
He obviously stole my credit card.
So, you admit that your card was used to make the purchase.
I didn't say that.
If the card is still active, I doubt that he stole it. The credit card company would have notified you for making a large purchase, and you would have canceled it.
How large is this purchase?
Thousands of dollars, Judge. According to the Book of Apologies and Francis Tuttle's will, Lauren Holt is the legal owner of the Hathorn House estate. According to the Book of Apologies and Francis Tuttle's will, Lauren Holt is the legal owner of the Hathorn House estate. I have the Book of Apologies, and I know this proves at the very least the accused witches and their descendants have a legal claim to Hathorn House. We found Francis Tuttle's will, and according to her, Lauren Holt is the sole heir of the Hathorn House estate. I've also discovered that Lauren is a descendant of Tituba, the first accused witch. Although she is not part of the AW organization, she is a descendant of the accused witches. My suggestion is that you should present Lauren with an option to have the accused witches help rebuild her house, and in payment, they get a portion of the house to be used for a museum and such. Lauren doesn't live in the house, and I doubt she could afford rebuilding it to historic standards. Maybe you could facilitate it.
Yes. We will have a discussion.
The will makes it clear that Lauren is the sole inheritor of the estate, no one else. However, in the best interest of all parties, perhaps there could be a way to erect a memorial for the accused witches. That is something that you, Your Honor, would have to facilitate.
Of course.
All the descendants of accused witches are listed in here. I think the best option would be to divide the estate evenly among them in shares, and have them figure out what to do with those.
But there are hundreds of names in here, and even if I were able to track them all down, the property is not livable. Without a legal heir, it will most certainly be demolished.
Then they should sell the land and split the profits.
But what about Lauren?
As bad as it sounds, Lauren doesn't have a legal claim to live on the property. Unfortunately, she'll have to find somewhere else to live. Perhaps the people of Salem can open their doors to her. I believe the will supersedes all other claims to the property. Unfortunately, the accused witches organization has no evidence that says they have any claim on the property. It is what it is.